Let us talk about the Old English period in English literature. It might help you for your upcoming NET exam. So let us begin. These were the first inhabitants of Britain. They spoke Celtic language and they called Britain Brythonic. Their society had class structure and priests were the dominant, and their religions are pagan and also followed polytheism and Druidism. Druidism means praise. At that time, Christianity reached there, and so many of them converted to Christianity. Converters were Roman. Some of the important emperors of that time is Julius Caesar and Claudius. Emperor Claudius divided Roman Empire into two: Western Roman Empire and Eastern Roman Empire. They called Britain Britannia. Britannia is a goddess like our Bharat Mata. We get to know about Roman Empire from the book Decline and the Fall of Roman Empire in 7076 and 7088 written by Edward Gibbon. And then Anglo-Saxon came. We get the story of them from the book On the Ruin and the Conquest of Britain by Gilda, also from Bede's Ecclesiastical History of English Race. Anglo-Saxons has three parts: Angles, Saxon, and Jutes. Angles contain Northumbria, Mercia, Anglica, and Saxon contain Wessex, Sussex, Essex. Jutes contain Kent. Anglo-Saxon gave importance to chivalry. At that time, English emerged as a written language before there was oral literature. Invaders were Danish, and then came Normans. Norman came to Britain through Battle of Hastings in 1066, led by William the Conqueror. At the time, French replaced English as a language. Let us dive into the Old English literature. Old English literature began from 7th century AD to 11th century AD. It was developed from the dialect of Germanic tribes, and English belongs to the Germanic family. Old English has four major dialects: Northumbria, West Saxon, Mercia, Kentish. Major genre were epic poetry, hagiography, sermon, Bible translation, and chronicles. They were mainly religious, heroic, and lyrical elegies. Some important manuscript of that time is Exeter, Vercelli, Junius, and Novel Chords. Exeter contains a poem, and Vercelli is an anthology of Old English prose and verse that dates back to the late 10th century. Novel Chords contain the most famous epic poem Beowulf, and Junius contains poetry dealing with the biblical subject in Old English. It's known as England national epic poem, written during 7th century, and the author is unknown. It contains 3182 lines. It's about Scandinavian Geatish hero Beowulf. It has two parts. In first, it was a battle between Beowulf and monster Grendel and his mother, and he kills them. Part 2, about 50 years later, wounded and tired Beowulf and his death. It was written in Baroque diction. Beowulf is the first dragon slayer, and other characters are Hrothgar, Hycloak, etc. Seamus Heaney translated this in 1999. Major important writers whom we have the records of are Venerable Bede. He lived in 7th and 8th century. He was called Saint Bede. He wrote Ecclesiastical History of English Race. It was in Latin. It contained 5 books. Next one is Caerman. He was a Northumbrian poet. He was called illiterate cowhead. Sometimes he is called father of English poetry and father of religious poetry, also called Anglo-Saxon Milton. He wrote Caerman hymns, Genesis, Judith, Exodus, Paraphrase, Christ and Satan. Next one is Cine Wolf or Sign Wolf. He lived in the 9th century. He was a religious person. He wrote Fate of Apostle, Christ Second, Juliana, Dream of the Road, Phoenix, Elena, and the Wanderer. Dream of the Road, the word road means cross. Next one is Alfred the Great. He was a great king. He translated many works, including Ecclesiastical History of English Race, and he also created Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Some other work of that time is elegies contain Beowulf and advisor, wanderer, seafarer, husband message, wife lament, the ruins. And other writers of that time is Alfred of Ancient, known for sermon and Wolfstan. He wrote sermons of Wolfstan.